Hello, everybody. Hi there, and welcome in. Yeah, I've always been struck by some of that stuff. I used to say, when you say you're on the air, I think, well, how is it you got on the air? The only things on the air are airplanes and balloons, that sort of thing. So I would say sometimes you're in the air, which is more real because, physically you are in the air because it was broadcast. I don't know. Sometimes you get up in the morning and you feel a little wacky. This is one of those days. Sure hope you'll hit like, follow, and subscribe. Forgive me for my mental departures there. President Trump made a couple $2 billion in crypto in the last year and change since his second election. See, this is one of the things that makes me crazy because I was stupid. He disclosed it to the Office of Government Ethics. It's all above board. The U.S. government is likely to have made a lot of money in cryptocurrencies, too, because that's where he made most of that, since he created the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve and the stockpile of digital assets for the country. Trump's own income came partly from the Trump meme coin, about $600 million worth. $800 million from the World Liberty Financial Fund. That's his family's venture run by his kids. So here's the thing. Has Trump profited from being in office? The answer is he has profited from being uber famous and very popular. He launched his meme coin before taking office. Everybody knew about it. I should have bought a bunch of them at the time. Thought about it. Didn't. Anyone could have. I would have made a chunk by doing it because millions of people who were smarter than I am about this crypto stuff have had a good run with it, had the good sense to buy. Rest of his income came from his long-held real estate and high-value golf resorts. All of it, of course, predating the election. An American woman helped pay for the murderous Islamic attack on Israelis, the October 7th attack by Hamas. That's according to the FBI. That arrested Catherine Beth Washburn, who lives in western New York State. She allegedly transferred more than $30,000 in crypto to Palestine Islamic Jihad, which was part of the attack. She could get 20 years in prison and face a $250,000 fine. She is a leader of Direct Action Movement for Palestinian Liberation, which openly expresses its hate of Jews and its support for terrorism against Israelis. In one of her online messages, she said, "I wish every day were October 7th." There are several Supreme Court decisions worth noting. Turns out Riley Gaines and Michaela Skinner and so many others are right. Girls' sports are for girls, biological girls. That's a Supreme Court decision. It is not an illegal discrimination to say that girls' sports are for girls. I mean, it's already guaranteed by Title IX and the Equal Protection Clause of the Constitution. The Supreme Court has ruled, yes, states can say, it's okay to say, transgender girls are not allowed in girls' competitions because they were born boys. Simply declaring that you feel like a girl doesn't make you one, and neither does surgery or transitional drugs. A person can change their body. It does not change their genetics. That's not complicated. It's been a long time coming. Common sense ruling that girls in sports have been demanding for quite some time. The Supreme Court step up, and it did. Now, it did mostly. The Supreme Court leaves the ultimate decision in the hands of the states individually. So, if a politically liberal state like Oregon or Massachusetts, for example, wants to allow boy-girl transitioners to dominate the girls' sports, they can do that. If a state wants girls to compete against girls, they can do that. Now maybe even more female athletes will step forward and not worry about getting slapped with some kind of DEI wet noodle. Birthright citizenship stands. Supreme Court refused to strike it down. It's a long-held position by the U.S. government that a child born in the U.S. is a citizen, even if the parent or parents were using the pregnancy as a scam to make that happen in hopes of piggybacking into U.S. citizenship. President Trump wanted to stop it. The Supreme Court says, no, you can't. It's part of the 14th Amendment and was meant to protect former slaves and their children. It may not have been intended for use by illegal immigrants, but it has been. And the only way that birthright citizenship can be stopped and that scam stopped is if Congress were to pass such a stipulation. They could amend it. Right now, there's zero chance of that happening. A political party committee now has no limit on the amount of money it can spend for a political candidate in coordination with that candidate, which is the key, of course. The Supreme Court removed the limitation which will allow parties and political committees and the candidate to work together to decide how to spend the money without limits in races for president, the Senate, and the House. Political campaigns just got a lot more expensive, didn't they? The Trump administration said it would go after price gougers, and it is doing so. The Justice Department and 17 states are going after 5 major egg producers for allegedly colluding on prices, keeping prices artificially higher than they should be. In fact, the Antitrust Division noted for the court that when the government announced it was investigating what those producers have been up to, they brought prices down, which coincidentally demonstrated their ability to manipulate prices together. Did you know it's possible to get your hands on malware that can make an ATM spit out everything that's inside, all of its money? That's called jackpotting. It's obviously illegal, and you can get caught. 4 men in Connecticut face federal charges of stealing more than $500,000 that way. 9 machines up and down I-95 there in Connecticut. All 4 men are from Venezuela. At one highway rest stop, one teller machine disgorged $136,000. Just kept pushing out those greenbacks. There is trouble on the horizon for New York City, which until now has been mostly immune to the real estate troubles the rest of the nation has faced. Values in the Big Apple have risen and just kept going up and up and up, no matter what the economy was doing. Well, it's already slowed down, but now Zoran Mamdani may be killing the golden goose with his socialist policies and plans. We get that from the CEO of BlackRock, which is sounding the alarm. Larry Fink spoke at the Aspen Institute's Ideas Festival in Colorado. He said BlackRock is thinking about taking its billions in real estate investment plans elsewhere, outside of New York City. He noted that as of now, 47% of all the taxes collected in New York come from the 1% at the top that Mamdani says don't pay a fair share. Fink says if the city loses 5,000 of those 1%ers in an exodus that's already underway, all of Mamdani's socialist communist plans will become fiscally impossible because he won't have the money to take from the rich. And Fink says it looks like the city is going to lose at least 5,000 of the city's top 1% of earners. Thank you so much, Mamdani, you idiot. Larry Fink said, the solution to government spending is not to raise taxes. It is to grow the economy. He doesn't care if they spend the money on all this free stuff. He just says the only way to get there is not to try to take it away from people. It's to grow the economy. Mamdani's office hasn't had anything to say about that because it doesn't know what to do to make that happen. It's a whole lot easier to run on a campaign to give away free stuff and milk the rich to pay for it. Sounds like a warm and fuzzy idea. But when the impossibility of doing that becomes apparent to even the slow-witted socialists, They don't have any answer. They have no answer that doesn't hurt and no plan that doesn't siphon success and just flush it away. In Venezuela, where roughly 2,000 people are known dead in the dual major earthquakes, the expectations are that thousands more are still going to be found in the rubble. 60,000 people are missing. But there are, occasionally, miracles. A 2-year-old little boy was pulled alive from one debris field. So the search continues, even though survival chances are rapidly shrinking. 2-year-old Kleber Moran spent 6 days trapped under a collapsed building. He has injuries and is in a hospital. The U.S. government has earmarked $150 million to help Venezuela recover and has stationed naval ships there with thousands of American sailors and Marines helping out. It's supremely exhausting knowing time is running out, but any time there is a voice, a cry, maybe a tiny one, from under the concrete that signals another miracle. You feel strong again. I guess that'll do it. Thank you for dropping by, for tuning in today. By the way, I hope if you haven't done it, you'll make some sort of contribution to the situation in Venezuela. I mean, the mind absolutely quails at the idea that there are 60,000 people missing there, and a great many of them may be underneath that rubble. Send help. I hope you'll come back. Bring some folks with you. You've given me a little bit of your time, and I do appreciate it because, Lord knows, the time we have is precious. Hope you'll pop in from time to harleycarnes.com and find the podcast on Spotify, X, and Facebook as well. See, I said all of that without the theme because I'm hoping that some of that will stick. Oh, yeah. I am Harley Carnes. Until next time, please do yourself a favor. Make some good, conscious choices in your life. Make a decision to be happy. And fly safe. It's the only way to get there. It's just true.